Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jim Valley. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking again with Christina Jalbert, who is DAU's Learning Asset Manager for Con 7180, which is entitled Price Negotiation Memorandum. It's an OLT course. We are pleased to have Christina back with us on the show today. So welcome, Christina.
Hello, thank you. Glad to be back.
Thank you. And get us started. Let's talk about 7180. So what can you tell us about 7180, the Price Negotiation Memorandum course?
So the Price Negotiation Memorandum course is the most important class I think I'll probably develop at DAU. And I say that coming from years of pricing experience and having to write these documents. And who reads these documents, right? Your business clearance approval authority, peer review advisors, if you're at that point in your career where you're at a peer review. And we wanted to stress in this class the importance of that document and really how to document your cost analysis thoroughly so that anybody who picks up this document knows what you did as a contracting officer, the decisions you made, why you made those decisions, and then ultimately how you determine fair and reasonable for your pending action. Extremely important that contracting professionals know what to put in a P&M and how to document their analysis.
All right, thanks, Christina. So I would think another advantage of it is that if anybody ever comes back, if there's ever an audit done or anything like that, and they want to know, hey, what did the contract officer, what were they thinking when they did this contract? Is it a big advantage to have a really thorough P&M?
Yes, and it's funny that, and I'm glad you brought up audit purposes, right? I often say that cost analysis is a team effort. You're going to have obviously your contracting team looking at the proposal. You're going to have your technical team involved in the evaluation of that proposal. And then oftentimes you have DCAA and MA involved in the analysis as well. And so that team effort goes into reviewing everything and ultimately culminating on a decision that everything they've reviewed, they've taken feedback from those outside agencies like DCAA and MA and come together to come up with what they think the best deal for the government is. And so it's so important to have this class as something that they can take. And I'll say too that it's really for anybody in the acquisition world. A PM could look at this course, take this course, and understand why it is that contracting asks for what it asks for in a tech eval, right? How oftentimes we go back and forth with our technical teams about their analysis. So I think it's really helpful from that perspective.
So from a target audience standpoint, you're saying, hey, this is beyond contracting, right? This is also your program manager who needs to understand what a P&M is all about.
Yes, I think it's extremely important for the program management team or program manager themselves to understand what this document is. They obviously write their technical evaluations, right? That's just culminating their analysis of the technical aspects. They need to understand how we pull that into the contracting side, how those business decisions are made, and then how we're documenting it. It's extremely important. And from a contracting professional, I always loved when I had a PM who understood what my role was and vice versa, right? We're all one team. And so understanding each other's role and what we expect from one another is helpful.
Okay, great. Thanks, Christina. It's definitely a course I wish I had when I was a young contracting officer just starting up. So thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I think one of the first things I ever did in contracting was write a draft P&M, and it was quite the adventure. So, Christina, anything you want to add about the expectations of a student when they take this OLT?
I think what was really important for me as the LAM and then for our learning director was to really give the learner some examples. What is realistically something that they would put into this document? We go from the beginning of the document all the way to the end, and we talk about, formatting. We give some advice on how to format it. We give advice on how your table should be, and we stress the importance of traceability throughout the document. For example, if you're saying you took exception to $3 million of material, but I go up to the table and I don't see $3 million exception, then there's a question there, right? So we talk about the importance of the traceability. We also talk about different acquisition situations you might find yourself in. Are you in a UCA? How do you write about a UCA? If you're in, obviously, firm fixed price versus cost type, all those different aspects and how you would write something up depending on your acquisition situation. And we really tried to give an example of, what we could. You can't obviously give an example of everything. But we talk about different clauses that you may need to include depending on your acquisition situation. And obviously profit and fee, how are you documenting that? So really it walks you through an entire P&M and why you should document each piece, how to document each piece. So hopefully it's, a good asset to have for somebody who's starting out, or even a refresher for somebody who's had experience.
Great. Thanks, Christina. I appreciate it.
Yeah, outstanding. It seems like a great asset. So how are students assessed in this course, and what are the CLPs that they would receive if they were to complete it?
So there is an end of course assessment, again, multiple choice, 80% to pass, similar to other OLTs that DAU offers. And within that end of course assessment, there's some examples there, right? We're asking you to tell us what's wrong with a write-up, right? Because during the course, we talk about how you should write up something. Where did you get the information? What documents did you use? So we give examples in the assessment of write-ups, and then, the learner's going to have to say what's missing based on what they learned in the course. So I think it's a really great end of course wrap up for them to understand the importance of all the different parts. As far as CLPs, currently there are no CLPs assigned, but DAU will issue the number of CLPs about a month or so from now. And then anyone who's taken the course will get the points once DAU makes that assessment.
Okay, great, Christina. So is there anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Well, again, this class is part of our advanced proposal analysis credential. It's the capstone, if you will, if I can phrase it that way. Because if you look at that credential, everything is how to evaluate actual costs, how to evaluate materials and services, direct labor, and so on. And this class is now, how do you document that analysis? And so it really ties that credential together. And so, again, kudos to a little plug for that credential.
Okay, and what's that credential number? And do you have to take the credential in order to take this course, or could you just take this course separate from the credential?
Okay, so the credential number is CCON 01, Advanced Proposal Analysis. And no, you don't need to take the credential to take the course. If you just want to know about P&Ms, you're free to take just the P&M course, and that will be solely up to you.
All right, great, Christina. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You've been talking about a couple of the courses, CON 7180, which is the price negotiation memorandum, and then previously 7160. So for those out there, please take a look at 7160 also. So thank you, Christina.
Great, thank you.
All right, great. For those listening today, please, if you haven't done already, subscribe to our channel, either at DAU Media, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. And we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.